Hello. Who is a Negro? Who is a Niger? Who qualifies as a Niger? What exactly do these words mean? You'll find out in this episode of Ancient Hebrew Never Died. I am Seyi Adebayo. Negro, Niger or Niger. The prophet Simeon the Niger of Acts chapter 13 verse 1 was one. The appellation Niger, pronounced as one would Nigger, being recorded for the prophet Simeon in the Bible, tells us that it was never a contentious word in the beginning. It was only made so at some point in history. What it had become was the reason a Nigerian professor called for a change of name for Nigeria. Yes, many people believe the word Nigeria comes from Niger and area. The words Niger and Negro that we're told comes from Latin and Portuguese and means black are actually only adaptations and no local words, as they were incorrectly rendered by the Negro's non-Hebrew friends turned haters and later colonists. Imagine if you were presented with a word that consisted of only consonants and you had to pronounce it. You would do it the best way you could and likely based on your own language. Maybe this is what happened. This sort of mishap happened to have happened to the Bible, a Yoruba document. We can deduce from Acts chapter 13 verse 1 that the prophet Simeon either comes from the Niger area or looks like the Latin definition of the word or both, or his ancestors do either or both. For those of us who already know from my exposition of the Hebrew word Hiv that the correct form explicitly reads as someone who is from the Niger River area, we can agree that whatever qualifies Simeon to be called Niger or of the Niger qualifies him to be a Hebrew. He was not some random black person admitted into the fold to satisfy diversity and equality regulation. Let's get to work on the word Niger itself. As it is highly likely that the word is based on the Yoruba languages, which were the lingua franca of the original owners of the River Nigeria back then, I'll be working from the Syriac and Paleo-Hebrew renderings of this word. If you just asked why, it's because ancient Hebrew and biblical Aramaic are Yoruba languages. From the Aramaic Nigar and Hebrew Nagar or Naga, we have Nygr and Ngr respectively. Seeing as Niger is supposed to be a word describing ethnicity or family grouping like Ivri, we can assume that it will have the same components, which are a person indicator and a named place or place indicator. For Nygr and Ngr, we vowelize the N to give Oni or any. For the Y, this is easy because we know that the River Niger is involved here and its local name is Oya. We're introducing the vowels O and Ha to flank the Y on the sides. Oya is the same word that we vowelized for the Yod in ABRY for Hebrew in our previous video for word 401. The next easy letter is the R. Again, because we know that the River Niger is likely involved here, it's likely going to be Eri. The vowels we need for this are E and E. The E in Eri carries a lower tone mark, while the E is mid-tone and carries no mark. Next up is the G, which in this case is the Egun Latin Kenny Valley, leaving the best act for the last. Most Yoruba people will have the name of a river in their mind right now, and the word is Ogun. Yes, there is a river named Ogun, the same one which a southwestern Nigerian state is named after. The G in NGR is vowelized with low tone O and low tone M. Bringing it all together, we have Onyoye Ogweri for NYGR and for NGR Onyo Ogweri. The O in Ogun can be long or short, but the pronunciation is short for this word. Now, what does Onyoye Ogweri mean? Oni means person. Oya is the Niger River. Ogun means the long. And Eri means river, rain, or waterfall. Translating word for word, we have person, Oya, the long river, which when put together and translated as a sentence gives us person of Oya, the longest of rivers. And this means that the prophet Simeon is a person who comes from the Oya area, the area where the Oya is the longest river. This means that the prophet Simeon is a person who comes from the Oya area, the area where Oya, the Niger River, is the longest river. Given the above, all of the below apply to describing the prophet Simeon in regards to his Oya origins. Oni Oya Ogweri, Oni Oya Ogweri, Oni Ogweri, Oni Ogweri, Oni Oya, Oloya, Oni Oya Ogun, Oni Ogun. The prefix Oni can be replaced with Ara or Ira without any change to the meanings. Today's smaller 300-kilometer long Ogun will be differentiated as Erin Ogun, Long River, while the larger 4,200-kilometer long Ogun is the Ogun Erin, longest of rivers. The latter applies to the Niger, which runs through what is now many countries today in West Africa, while the other applies to the River Ogun, Odo Ogun, which is only contained within Nigeria. To describe the actual place for each of the descriptions aforesaid, we have Onoya Ogweri, Onoya Oguni, Onogweri, Onoguni, Onoya, Onoya, Onoya Ogun, and Ono. Prefixing Ono implies the whole stretch of the suffix location. This word actually features in the Hebrew word for river, which we will also treat in the River of Eden episode after this Niger episode. We can also use the place indicator we use while restoring Ivri, and that would give us Ibioya Ogweri, Ibioya Oguni, Ibi Ogweri, Ibi Oguni, Ibioya, Ibioya Ogun, and Ibi Ogun. Do these words appear in place names in Yoruba land today? Yes, they do. We have the following. The Ogun River, which starts in Oyo State and passes through Ogun and Lagos states and empties into the Lagos Lagoon. Ono River in Oyo State. Oya River, which is a part of the Niger. Ogun State. Ogunrieletu in Ogun State. Erin Jeshe Waterfalls in Osun State. Erin River in Ekiti State. And Ogunpa River in Oyo State. In this translation, we can see that Niger does not mean black, and it did not originate from outside the Niger area of West Africa. It is only an incorrect rendering adapted for non-Hebrew tongues and alphabet set that couldn't fully accommodate the Yoruba languages. The root pronunciation of Niger is a foreigner's attempt to say Nigeri, which is a contracted form of Ni-Ogweri, and the letters Niger can be found in the full Yoruba term. If you've learned something amazing today, please join me on the next video to know where the J pronunciation in Niger comes from and what it birthed. It's a very important J word for describing a people. Are you thinking what I'm keeping? Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.